Yeah. Born ready.
Boom.
Again?
Yes. Take 3.
Action.
We are going for a take, and today's take is on the new horror film Together.
And in today's take, we're joined with an actor. He's known from his work on Mixtape as young Daniel. It's Rory Walton-Smith.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Pleasure to meet you, dude.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you for having me.
We've had the most chaotic little intro to this ever.
We have.
But
been
that
great.
sets us in a good stead.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be the most structured, stable kind of conversation that we'll ever have.
Like
So
normal,
I'm
yeah.
sure it's going to be great.
Sounds good.
Obviously, we'll talk a lot about Mixtape as we move forward, but we always start off with a film, and we're going to get your take on Together. Obviously, we all saw it over the weekend. It only opened on, what day is it today? Sunday. Opened a couple of
Friday,
days ago.
yeah.
Who wants to kick us off? What was your take on Together?
I'll kick us off by saying I didn't see it in the cinema.
Oh
I didn't see
my
it in the
God.
cinema.
How did you see it?
I saw it on a legal streaming site, and I can't do cinema. I can't do horrors in cinemas.
Oh, okay. You
I
had
can't do it,
I don't know, an emotional
You
reason
have to
for.
cut that out, are you?
No.
No, I saw the film. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I saw it.
What did you think of it?
I love
In your safe environment that you were able to
Yes.
scream and not worry about.
I think that there was a lot to like about it. I think that I didn't go in with huge expectations, but like the first 5 minutes, I noticed cinematography, loved that, and then it
And
kind
what
of had me.
kinda-
Literally, just there wasn't much going on, but it hooked me in the first 5 minutes. I was thinking, okay, see where this goes. I had no idea what to expect, but
You're not seeing any trailers or promo?
I mean,
or-
I saw a trailer, but
Okay, cool.
you know what I mean. I can never get too much, especially from that trailer. It was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it was a weirdly like fascinating film.
Sure was.
I when I was watching it, because I saw it in the cinemas, and
Who'd you see it with, Ben?
I can't do horrors, and I watched it by myself.
Ah,
And when I
Did
tell
you?
you, this is twice I've done it for the podcast now. That I've
Yeah.
seen a horror. The other one was Longlegs, and
Oh, that's scary.
I kid you not, I honestly shit myself every time I go and see a horror by myself, and it always is by myself.
Yeah.
It's never with anyone else.
Were you on like the
can't.
front row as well?
Yeah, because that's the cheaper ticket.
You're just like, oh
I
no.
was like front row looking up, and I'm like,
Easy exit. Easy exit.
Everyone behind you is looking down, being like, "Who's that weirdo? He's just sitting in the front row." Like,
it's in the corner like this, like shaking.
oh man.
Well, I was during this film. They wouldn't leave me alone, and I am. I was like that every five minutes. I can't.
Yeah.
I am so bad with scares, and I feel like this one, the director needed to scare you every 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And you could tell his way of doing it was, we want this to be a horror, right? We're going to get the scares in. We're going to get the sort of like horror-y bits in, if you will. And he did that so well in the first 10 minutes, especially with the dogs and the, I mean,
Yeah.
I was
There'll be
like,
loads of
where's this gonna
spoilers,
go?
by the way.
Oh,
To be fair, we just go straight in with spoilers. We can
Okay.
always put a warning on the
okay,
the old captions. So yeah, feel free to talk about everything.
cool.
It was weird though, because when you see the dogs, you're like, oh no, what's going to happen here? And then they start like eating each other and then becoming one. And I was like, what is this film? But then
Well, I didn't know they were eating each other. I thought they were. I didn't know what was going on there.
What
I
were
just
the dogs
saw two
doing,
dogs
Rory?
in one. I was, what's this? So
Well, so
Like
actually,
amusing.
because me and my girlfriend were thinking of seeing it, but she struggles with horror and jump scares.
right.
So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just a psychological kind of one. And then I was like, there's a website called Does the Dog Die? And it lists like all the triggers in a film. And like the number one was like, yes, the dogs kind of die. They get morphed together in some sort of kind of basically the whole premise of the film.
What? So there's this is a website.
Yeah, so it lists triggers for people. So
okay.
if they, say they've got a very specific thing,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, guns or something,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
means that they don't want to go to a cinema and be like freaked out in front of everyone, or even just in the comfort of their own homes. They can go on the website and search for the specific trigger based on the film. And even though Together hadn't been out, there were still loads of, I guess, people that had seen the previews or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, really useful, worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely.
But I was thinking about the dogs, and as I was walking home, I was like, maybe the dogs were just in love too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they morphed together
I
completely,
wondered
though. It is.
if like the only way that people could morph together beyond just drinking the weird
water,
demon water, or whatever it was, Plato's water, was that they also had to be in love.
Well, isn't the whole idea of it like the reason when you see the two people morph, that the couple that go missing and they didn't morph correctly was because they didn't want to, and if you don't want to, it like messes it up or something like that. It's like you have to be aligned in your values to become one. I really want to talk about Plato's.
You want to talk about some Greek philosophy?
Plato's Symposium.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Because that was to me what the film was about, and I realized that before the film talked about it of Plato's Symposium on your soulmate, if anyone doesn't know, is apparently humans were born with 4 arms, 4 legs, and 2 faces, and Zeus thought they were too powerful, so they cut them in half and put them in different places. And the idea is that you go around your life trying to find the other half that you were removed from to become one again, and that's what the idea of a soulmate is. And this film takes that literally of becoming one again. But for me, I was just like, I love the fact it's based off such a known philosophy, but it was a horror film, and I don't like horror films. They're scary.
Do you watch many horror films?
I mean, I'll watch one, but it will be in my bed when I'm on my own. Can't quite do it in the cinema yet.
Yeah.
So I like it when it's like well done. I love like
definitely.
the A24 stuff. Got it down to a T. I think Neon's obviously coming up and doing way better things. So if it's like a good sort of original story, I'm trying to think of one that I saw sort of recently.
Did you see
I never watched The Substance.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Very similar kind of like body horror kind of themes explored.
Yeah. But the same thing with any film, really. It's like if it's done well, I'll probably enjoy it.
Can you think of what was the one that you watched
recently? Oh, goodness. Literally nothing comes to mind. So I need to sort of get on it with the.
Did you see Longlegs?
Didn't see Longlegs.
Thinking of other like, what's that A24? I'm trying to remember now. There's a really good horror film called It Follows. That's worth checking out. It's not too scary, but the premise is that it's a. Have you seen it, Ben?
No, I've not.
Okay, so it's a demon that like constantly is walking towards you if you've contracted the disease that makes the demon.
I have seen this.
And it's passed on by having sex with someone else. And then they have the demon stuff. You're like, when did you watch this film, man? It was in the cinemas.
Yeah. What cinema?
So it's like this ST demon. I just came up with that. That was quite good. That's a good one. Sexually transmitted demon. And it's just because the concept, like, it sounds a bit dorky in that kind of way, but it makes you constantly like look behind like where all the action is, and there's always just people walking, so you never know who's the demon and who's not. So you just see random people in the background, so you're always scanning.
Is that
same
new?
as the characters? Huh?
Is that new?
No, 20 somewhere in the 2010s. I don't know. It's cool.
That. Well, in terms of horror, I feel like we're in a horror renaissance at the moment. Like, it feels like horror is making a comeback, and you see it with A24, you see it now with Neon, like you were saying. Horror is cinematically great to watch at the cinemas because there's so much tension constantly that you're forced to carry on watching. You're forced to breathe and be like.
I don't know if it's also like the sort of maybe not people pleasing, but that kind of idea of like being surrounded by other people means that the tension's way more palpable because I can't just like, I don't know, pause it or like
run away.
Like I'm trying to hold my breath and try and like if I know. Like the moment where she comes, he's being like dragged along the floor and the door just like creaks open and she appears like the exorcist and someone in our cinemas just went, oh no. Because like, it's just, you're just like, oh God, don't jump. You know the jump scare. That's when it's the most powerful is when you know it's coming.
Yeah.
And the director's just like silence.
You can't take your eyes off it, otherwise you'll miss something, come back, and then all of a sudden the jump scare's coming up. So
it's terrifying.
But no, the thing I liked about this film was like there were sort of messages about like, you know, what I got from it was two people being in a relationship for 10 years. They obviously Tim character, the Dave Franco character, he wasn't quite sure if he wanted to fully commit. And it's about that sort of like, once you're there, committed, you can't quite get out of it, which is quite ironic, seeing like the same person at the end. Major spoiler, but do you know what I mean? So I thought it was interesting, the fact that like the dynamic that they had, and then they were sort of forced to be together in the most intimate way, and how it changed their relationship so quickly, changed the dynamic. I just thought that was, you know, there were points to look at that you can actually take in real life. And the director, Michael Shanks, I think it was, like, that was his first like feature. So I think that he was very sort of aware of what he was doing, like with the sort of, the Zeus's,
Plato's symposium.
Even that image on the wall, was that not to represent? Was that that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was that.
Well, there you go then. So I think for a first feature, he's done a really good job there.
It's really impressive. And I was watching an interview with the three of them, Alison Brie, Dave Franco, Michael Shanks, and they were saying how he has a lot of background in VFX. So he, whilst also being the director, editor, writer, was also doing, I think he did like 100 VFX shots as well, which is just impressive as to be able to also be like juggling that at the same time, probably watching it thinking, okay, how am I going to use the visual effects when I come to doing it in the edit suite? I don't know where they do VFX stuff. There's so much that I actually want to, there's always this case where I'm like, I don't know what we're going to talk about. There's so much to talk about and where to go off. I guess it's related to what you were saying, Ben, in terms of a renaissance of horror, because there's currently like this plagiarism lawsuit between another film called Better Half, which was like a micro budget indie film that came out in, I want to say 2023, or it might be 2013. I'm not quite sure exactly. But it's a very similar premise. And I was chatting with my sister about it. It's a similar premise. So they've sued the creators of this film. But it always begs the question of like how much similarity, and what's the line where like it goes beyond like using similar tropes. Like the core essence is the same idea, but that's mythology. Anyone could take that and just take it to its extreme and just follow through with the themes. And at what point does it not become honoring someone else's work or other creators all having similar ideas and become like a copyright issue? Is that a question for you guys, in terms of, do you think that like horror does have a lot of similar tropes? So is there like truth to the argument? Obviously we don't know all the details.
I think horror comes from the same point. Every single horror film has the same stem to it, and that's the unknown. And that's the whole point of horror, is you don't know what's going to happen. You think you know what's going to happen, but often when you think you know it, that's not what happens. It's something else. And that's what throws your guard off. So I think it's very, like, with that alleged lawsuit, the idea could be thought of by anyone because it's already out there.
Yeah.
It's just turning it into a film.
However many years,
Literally, I mean, a lot of years ago that was created. So, it's an idea that's been out there for a long time, and maybe there are two films and maybe they are very similar. Maybe they've got their differences. Maybe the lawsuit is true, maybe it's not, who knows? But for me, as long as the work feels authentic and it doesn't feel like it's stolen, then I will fully support it, because it's someone's, they've spent years getting that together, and you wouldn't spend years getting something together, in my opinion, if you're copying someone else, because why would you invest that much time into an idea that someone else has created?
Yeah, like how many times have you thought of an idea and you're like, oh, actually, that would be such a good idea. Like that's done like 4 times. Yeah, so it's literally, like you won't know. And as you say, people put years of work into making these horrors. And I think this is the good thing about horrors, is the fact that you can have the same idea and you can have the idea and just go a million different ways. You could have sort of the same plot and a basic plot, but you can do a million and one things with it. And like you could say it together sort of in one way does have a basic plot, like they drink some water and they like have to combine together or whatever. Like you could say that, but he's took loads of different routes to kind of guide it where he wants to go as a filmmaker. Every single filmmaker is going to have a different sort of outlook on an idea. Same with actors, you know, no one does an audition the exact same way. So it's sort of like, yeah, you can copyright it, but at the same time, as you said, no one's going to purposely go and do the same thing because especially nowadays when people are making such original stories, they want to have a thing that is made by them, that is their idea. So yeah, they might cross roads, they might cross bits and that sort of stuff. But it's like, that's why I think the horror industry is getting much better, because people have realized that, yeah, it is sort of oversaturated. There's loads of sort of horror films going on, but they're all getting more and more original. Yeah. And yeah, as you know, to make my point, it doesn't really matter, I think, if someone made a film 10 years ago and you sort of go and do sort of a similar thing because you put your own spin on it.
It's kind of literally like what you're saying with acting as well, where it's interesting. A lot of people might do like point A, point B to point C, and because that's literally the beats of the script. But it's like you can't capture that essence that someone else has. We'll get onto it when we're talking about the casting with Mixtape, because I'm reading an interview saying about just that chemistry. It just can't be planned or thought out. It just happens organically. And that authenticity is found in those moments. I wanted to ask you, because obviously it explores a lot about codependency as well within relationships. And actually, I never really thought about codependency much before. There's like attachment styles and stuff like that. But I was wondering if it made you guys think about like past relationships differently, or, you know, any current things. Obviously, you don't have to go into too much detail. I
think you can draw, you know, in a way, yeah. You can kind of, for me, it was more like what I want to sort of realize before I go into something in the future. You know what I mean? Like the pet, like the two, like with Alison's character, she was so ready to settle down. She had her whole life sort of figured out in her mind, and obviously Tim, he felt very much that he and I didn't really cover this in the film and how he was really thinking about it, but I feel like he did need his own space, and it was obviously about the whole, do I commit to this relationship for the rest of my life? And it's also about like, but also I want to be able to do, you know, he has this passion for guitar and being able to balance that, and she just wanted to have more of a sort of like, they couldn't even go to the bedroom and do all that sort of stuff. So it's like, yeah, I think for me it was, you've got to balance it and you've got to sort of make compromises. And it does make me laugh the way that they just were so forced to come together. There was no sort of separateness at all. Especially like in the bits where, you know, in the when they went to the toilet and in the school, and it was like he just couldn't. Like, let's talk about that for a second. That was crazy. It was so messed up, and I literally I was like, if he opens that door, I just don't think I can watch this film. Like, I swear to God, like,
I thought that's what they were just going to continue from there, and they were going to like waddle out together.
I was like, I feel like the film's about to turn. I don't know where it's going to turn.
Is this where they merge together?
Yeah. It's a 3. Oh my God. But yeah, so it's sort of, I think you can take what lessons you want from it. And that's what I sort of like about those type of films, is like, you can take the lessons. There's no specific, this is what it means, blah, blah, blah. Take what you want. And
yeah, like horror is like this vehicle. It can introduce, because loads of people love horror. And then they can go and see it and take however much like detail, like philosophy or whatever, or relationship advice that they want from the film. They can just enjoy the shocks.
Do you think, and this is a question for both of you guys, do you think that if they hadn't have drunk the water and they hadn't have got this, we'll call it a condition, to become one another, do you think they would have stayed together?
No.
Well, he had, go on.
Oh, you said
Do tell. No, I was going to say something. Go on.
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it, so I'm just going off like my gut here. It just felt like they were so incredibly like incompatible. Maybe they had to go through.
Funny because they're together in real life.
Yeah, maybe they had to go through like all of the sort of like the narrative arc of the film to be able to be like, actually, our values do align and we can make compromises and stuff like that. We can literally be joined together in the toilet and be okay together.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the start, I'd be interested in who you guys kind of rooted for. but it just felt like this very dominant relationship from Alison Brie's character, and then Dave Franco wanting to explore and be free, and he just said yes just to make her happy. And it goes back to, I was looking into codependency, and it's like unequal power balance being one, defining yourself based upon your relationship. And it just felt like he was only just saying yes to go off to this village in the middle of nowhere. But he was never really happy with it. And she was constantly putting him down, like repeatedly. And he was just whining. I was like, bro, like, argue for yourself. Like, there needs to be an equal balance in relationships where, like, okay, if there's a disagreement or someone does something that doesn't align with your values, then you need to talk about it. Whereas he would just like go silent and be like, but please. It's just, I can't. Obviously, by the end, they did get together.
Really?
But everything right at the start up until... Like,
in a way. I didn't know that.
Everything up until like the end, I was like, nah, these guys are like toxic. A kind of toxic codependency.
To be honest, I think this might be a crazy take, but I think it's probably a bit harder for someone who is ready to sort of commit. Like, if you're the one who's sort of in your mind got everything figured out. I mean, they were literally moving house. Like, that's a massive thing. It was a big house. That's a family house. Like, you could tell that she was ready to sort of push things forward. So it's like, and as you said, he is quite a whiny guy. I was thinking, like, yeah, on one hand, let him go off and do his music, and like, he does need to explore. But also, I just feel like if I was in her shoes, that'd be tough. I might really like, because imagine you've got it all figured out, and then you've got someone who just I mean, you propose to them, and they're sort of, I just feel like, I was sort of rooting for her, especially right at the start. He sort of seemed sort of lost. And obviously she's got this job. I think they sort of touched on the fact that she had quite an important role in the education system somewhere when she joins it was a school, right?
Yeah, as she arrives, they're like, someone of your caliber, like, coming to our little village school.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they went into.
Exactly. So she obviously had this career behind her as well. And I was just sort of like, the whole thing of like, well, first of all, doesn't seem really like it's going to work if he's trying to go off and do music part-time, or, do you know what I mean? But then also you can flip it and say, well, actually she's got to give him a chance. He's still figuring himself out. And there's artists especially, like, it might take a bit longer to get to that point and to get to that stable sort of mindset where you're like ready to settle down. And I feel like he was in that sort of scenario. And I feel, do you agree? Or you disagree? What's going on?
I agree.
Food for thought.
I
agree. Side.
So I'd say I'm on Dave Franco's side, right? Because for me, I feel like he was in that relationship because it's the only thing stable in his life. And even that wasn't stable. I mean, he'd lost his parents. His music career wasn't giving him the stability he needed. The only thing stable in his life was her. And it didn't feel like they were together because they wanted to be. It felt like they were together because they'd been together for so long that it felt safe being together. And the idea of not having anything is even scarier. So with me, part of me was like, you have that dynamic of, if you're in a relationship with someone who isn't a creative, them not quite getting the lifestyle of a creative, because I think it's such a different, like, our lives are so different to like an office job where you know, it's a set routine 5 days a week, and you know what you're doing each day. For us, you know, I could be filming in London next week. If I had a girlfriend and I told her that, I mean, she'd have to understand that the creative ambition and what it's like as an artist to work, because it's not constant and it's not steady. And there's periods in your life as an artist where nothing goes right, and then it all goes right and it looks beautiful. But there are moments where it doesn't go right. And if you're with someone who doesn't understand that, then that can be difficult. And I felt like that their relationship is like that. You've got one person who's so creatively minded, and you've got another person who is so like fulfilled on structure.
Yeah, so practical and pragmatic.
Constantly battling each other.
Yeah, and I think it was kind of, not to like psychoanalyze their relationship.
Let's do it for us.
We just feel like a therapy session. Right? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I felt like it was just a lack of communication between both of them. Because actually, when I was listening to you, I was like, because when I was watching the film, I was like, that's some really like whatever. What was the character called?
Alison.
Alison?
Oh no, wait, sorry.
It's called Millie.
Millie.
I've got Millie written down.
Go on, I'm going to trust you on this.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because the character at the end, according to IMDb trivia, is called Tilly because it's a mix of Tim and, I guess, Millie, which makes sense. But yeah, where was I going with this? A lack of communication style. But Alison Brie's character, I think her actions said a lot. Because actually, if she did have this high-end job and then she chose that she wanted to go and settle down and be in this village, she didn't say explicitly to him that, like, you know, I've sacrificed things too. Whereas he was so open, like, I'm sacrificing everything, I'm trapped here. I wonder if her communication style also needed to be more open, because sometimes you do be with people and they're just more practical in the way that they do things. Like my dad, he's so be interesting when he watches this now. He's so practical. His like love language will be acts of service. That's like probably at the top. And you just have to be able to like read between the lines and go, yes, there is a lot of that there. Whereas I'd say like words of affirmation might be mine. So it's really important to have that style. But also sometimes I'm just like, can we stop psychoanalyzing like everything? Is the relationship making you happy? Awesome, cool. You don't need to think about it much more than that.
Literally.
General take on the film, just to wrap up before we go into the next part.
Loved it. I loved the idea. Cinematography, great. Directing, great. Acting, great.
Great. Nice.
Dave, I feel like there was a couple more candidates I would have preferred to have played the role of Tim, but
interesting.
But it worked well. It was great. I did enjoy it. Yeah.
Good film. Shit myself twice. I'm joking.
Good job, you were in the front row.
They've got to walk past it. It was a good film. It was scary, and there was an edge to it which I really enjoyed. I thought the acting was good. Parts of it I was like, but you know, you're gonna get that because it's a film. There's about 100 minutes of acting. It's not all going to be perfect. And perfect doesn't exist. So
quickly,
yeah,
I thought the character of Jamie was a standout.
Oh
for me.
yeah.
He was insane. I've actually met Damon in real life,
No,
and he's
wait.
so cool.
How do you mean?
The Sydney Harbour Bridge climb we did, he sort of just showed up because he's friends with
fair.
Ben, who plays someone on Mixtape, and it was him. And I didn't sort of know how big he was, and then he just pops up and like, this is and he's so chill. So I thought he was insane. And you know when you know someone on screen, you sort of not nothing. He was amazing as that. So he
instantly
was
like walked on into the screen and you were like, he's the bad guy.
Yeah,
the score, you're like, bad guy.
Yeah,
but he's played like, he was the guy that played like Charles Manson twice, right?
Yeah.
The same year.
Unreal.
Which is a weird casting type.
Yeah.
Great film. Go see it. Highly enjoyable. It's disgusting.
And we're back for part 2 of this conversation where we're going to chat to Rory about his time in Mixtape. What are you laughing?
No particular reason. It's also take 2 of part 2.
Yeah, take 2 of part 2.
Don't want to talk about it.
I don't know what happened in take 1 of part 2, but who knows? Anyway, so we were talking a bit about Damon Herriman before. You met him in Sydney.
I sure did. Yeah. So Ben Lawson, who plays Alison's husband in the show, he's good friends with him. And Ben actually lives in New York, and he'd come over for the premiere. So it was sort of like a touching base kind of thing for them. So he was supposed to be doing this bridge climb, sort of Harbour Bridge. I was absolutely shitting, can I swear? Shitting myself. And obviously Jim and there's a little gang of us, right? And he was there, and you know, I was a bit like, I knew I'd actually seen him in The Artful Dodger. I don't know if anyone's seen that with Thomas Brodie Sangster. And I thought, he's really good in that. But I didn't think much of it. I just thought, he's an actor. Such a lovely guy. We talked about Mixtape. I think he actually did mention that he's just filmed something in Australia. Because wasn't Together filmed in Australia? I think it was.
It might have been.
Yeah, I think it was. And anyway, such a lovely guy. And it was only when I got home and sort of checked him out that I realized that he's in like Tarantino films and things like that. So it's unreal. And, you know, you just appreciate it more when someone's so down to earth and so lovely. And, you know, you get to that level and you can go a certain way. So just a lovely guy. And as I said, like, he was just absolutely amazing in this. There's some sort of, I don't know, draw when I watch certain actors. And you know, when you have a favorite actor and they kind of have these qualities, I just absolutely loved his work. Anyway, I digress. Met him, lovely guy, very interesting person. Yeah.
What sort of while we're also still digressing because it was interesting. What sort of qualities do you look for in other actors and try and find in yourself too?
Oh, I just love. It just does sound very generic, but like those actors, you can't quite understand them, and you can't understand their decisions. You don't know where it's going to go. Timothy Chalamet pops into mind straight away. Paul Mescal pops into mind, especially his work in
Normal People.
Normal People, and the one with Andrew Scott, All of Us Strangers.
All of Us Strangers. Oh yeah, good.
And it's just they just don't go the normal route, and I love it when you just don't. Yeah, with a lot of actors these days, they serve the purpose, they serve the story, and that is what, you know, that's very, very important. I love it when people can kind of riff off and you can tell that they're sort of bringing their own thing to it and really having fun with it. But yeah, that's sort of one thing I love. Well, that's something I enjoy when watching film.
Where do you think that comes from?
Oh, I don't know. I think I just think it makes for more interesting acting and more interesting work. I don't know. Like,
what sort of stuff did you watch growing up?
Growing up, sort of always been a bit of a thriller guy. Pretty bored. Like, there's this film I blab on about called Super 8.
Oh, yeah.
J.J. Abrams. Such a banger, is it?
Yeah.
It is such a banger. And I got it from what's it called? Those Blockbuster stores back in the day. It was literally the first and last Blockbuster DVD I got. Watched that. And like, what is not to like about that film, right? Load of kids trying to make a short film, stuff going on, American vibe, and a train crash with an alien. I mean, so that was a pivotal moment when I was growing up. And I was always interested in the behind the scenes sort of sides of it. So when I was growing up, I can't remember the exact question. Films growing up, or
the kind of stuff that you watched growing up.
Yeah. I don't really know. Like, I was watching the Titanic when I was younger, and I was just like, oh, this is amazing. But I didn't really have that like, oh, got to be a film, got to be an actor, got to be
like a 5-year-old being like, this film is gonna
change your life. And there was this film I saw called The Big Blue ages ago. I know, I was like so young, and it was like a 15, and my dad shouldn't have shown me it. But there were certain aspects I loved about that film. It was about like a free diver and like his sort of like upbringing in this Greek island. And I sort of started to enjoy the stories so much that when I sort of progressed through high school and sort of had that experience, when I came out of it just in lockdown, I was like, I really want to be part of those stories. I can't describe what it was. Like, the films I was watching when I was growing up, fairly normal films, but then all of a sudden there was a switch and I was just like, wow, I actually really want to be part of this now. So
what age was that?
Age was 16, maybe.
Wasn't that how we first met? Was through an acting class?
Yeah, we did Morello, didn't we?
Yeah, I was trying to remember how we first met. That was years ago now. And yeah, I remember because I used to teach the first 2 classes and then be part of the class review. Yeah.
Oh, no way. The kids ones.
Yeah.
Oh,
I found, I found teaching really helped me understand myself better as well. And then working with you was really cool.
We got to have at least one scene, didn't we?
Together, surely. I can't remember what it was, but there must have been something.
Yeah.
And then look at you now, man. Mixtape.
Yeah.
It's, we've with Mixtape, it's interesting because I remember reading the book because obviously we both auditioned for it.
I was like, how is he going to segue it in?
We both auditioned for it, and I read the book and I was like, oh, this is an interesting concept. How are they going to turn this? And obviously, Joe Spain somehow made it into an incredible story.
Shout out Joe Spain.
Yeah, shout out Joe Spain. Incredible story and crafted it in such a delicate way because some of the themes in Mixtape, they come later in the show and it gets darker and darker. And I was like, how are they going to do this?
Yeah. I sort of had the same thing because obviously when I'd read the book, I'd read the script.
Yeah.
Like I don't know did you read all 4 eps? Did you get the?
I didn't get all 4. I think I got maybe the first one.
Right. Yeah. So I read the script and that's what I had to go off at the start. And then I read the book and I was like, wow, she had to condense it into 4 sort of 60-minute episodes.
Yeah.
That's tough. And obviously you've got to think, oh, what have I got to sort of, what can I afford to miss? What do I need in there? And I feel like she just struck the right balance of the sort of heartbreak that comes later on and the sort of difficult themes, but then also keeping that mixtape vibe that Jane Sanderson obviously wrote in her book. So, Joe, you're a great writer. I absolutely thought you've done an amazing job. So,
in the book, does it jump back and forth as well?
Yes, yeah. But there's like, in a book you can go into way more depth, sort of thing. But like that is the vibe that both the book and the series have, is the fact that it's jumpy. But with the TV show, it's a bit more sort of, you can have a scene there, jump straight back, scene there, jump straight back, and in the book it's sort of like you go into more of the it's chapter. Do you know what I mean? So it's a chapter. But again, it's like, what made it into the series from the book? I don't know. Have you actually watched the series, Ben?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've watched series.
Thank goodness.
I've done my research.
Yeah. I don't know, because you haven't read.
Go on.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, for anyone watching who's not seen it just yet, can you give a brief summary about what it's roughly about?
Yeah, so it's about these two teenagers who meet in Sheffield in 1989 at a house party. They sort of have this connection, which is built through music, making mixtapes for each other. And then we sort of pick up 30 years later. They're both living very separate lives. I'm looking straight into the camera here. I don't know if that's too sort of like...
No, that's
is that
fine.
something? Okay, yeah. So they sort of...
to break the fourth wall a little bit.
Yeah. Get really serious. I want to pan in.
Theatre.
We're going to zoom in.
Yeah.
Slow.
Me just sweat.
Starting to get sweat. Yeah, exactly.
What's that one where it's a zoom in, but like they move
Coming
back
out
at
of
the
the
same time?
Yeah. But yeah, so we pick up 30 years later and they are sort of doing their own thing. They've got separate lives. Alison's living in Australia and Dan, my character, is still living in Sheffield. He's sort of doing music journalism. She's a famous author, and it's about them sort of reconnecting and asking a question of what if, and, questioning the whole first love thing, what went wrong, and sort of navigating where they are in their current life. So it's a really nice premise, I think.
And I think one of the most important things about the story is obviously it's two people's lives, and there has to be such good chemistry in order for the story to work. So talk to me a bit about that chemistry with Florence Hunt. How did you develop that?
So we met at the chemistry reads, which is in itself, it's just like, what, this is the weirdest thing. Like you've obviously had it yourself, but you've had it as well. Yeah, you've had it. It's just the weirdest thing. You walk into a room and you just, like that, you've just got to pretend to be in love with this stranger. And the first couple of reads I had, Flo was actually my third read. I had 3 reads with 3 of the girls. And so the first 2, I just couldn't, when you're that nervous, you can't even smile. It just comes out in a bit of a shake and a bit of a... And it was such it wasn't an intimate scene, but it was like you've got to be in a certain headspace for it. Really romantic. And I just completely butchered the first 2 sort of reads with the other 2 girls, who were absolutely great as well. And then I came in with Flo, and I was like, well, at that point, you've done 2 reads, you're sort of more comfortable. And I just remember walking in the room, and I sort of knew she was on Bridgerton, and walked into the room and she was just like chomping biscuits, sat on the chair. And I was just like, well, this is going to be easy. Do you know what I mean? Like she's so down to earth. She's so chill. And as soon as we started reading, I feel like you can't force chemistry.
No, definitely not.
Especially with acting. So when you find that sort of like that little click, it comes very naturally, and I found that quite quickly with Flo. I don't know if it was because it was the last read and I was a bit more comfortable, but we had something that felt special in the scene, and it felt new, and obviously sort of worked because the director loved it, and the rest is history. So it was a tough day, but it was a great experience, and yeah, it was fun.
What was it like working with? Because I'm not actually sure. Obviously, you mentioned the bridge climb with Jim as well, Jim Sturgis. Did you get to meet them? And did you get to? I don't think you got to act alongside them, if I'm right. Or was it?
I had a scene where I was a sort of memory in Jim's scene. Cool, so we were sort of stood behind him doing our like lovey-dovey bit. But we never actually got to act with them, which is a huge shame. to act with one of
Were
them.
you
would
able
be.
to see their previous stuff they'd already shot, so you could start basing some mannerisms? So there was a similarity in it.
That was the thing. It was like I got the role, and then they did. Well, they obviously did the Australian chunk, right?
Yeah.
Just after I got cast, so it was all coming out. You know, obviously the Jim Sturgis cast announcement came out, and I sort of asked the director. I was like, "Can you give me anything? I really want to make sure this is perfect." Like, and I was a bit wary of sort of not quite catching his vibe, and that was sort of like I should have known that Lucy. She is the mind of this TV series. She wasn't going to cast someone if she didn't think there was already sort of a natural resemblance there. So I was just like, oh, can you please any dailies or anything like that? And unfortunately, she couldn't really get me any. But I saw him one day before I shot my scenes in Ireland. There was like a 1-day overlap, and I met him there. And I kid you not, we both were sat down on a sofa, and he was sort of like sat exactly how I'd sit, and I was just like, that is literally the older me, regardless. So it really it was already like 90% there, and then I was worried about the Sheffield accent. Is the Sheffield accent going to be the same? And you can kind of, what we ended up doing was, well, I had a dialect coach, and I asked him, how am I going to be able to get there with the accent and match it with his? And he was just like, this is 30 years apart. He's become a working professional. You're still a Sheffield working guy. So you can, and it's in the 80s. So there's a difference in the accent there. So it was kind of fun to play around with different sort of accent vibes as he progressed and got older. But to answer your question, no, I did not get to work, but I got to watch. Teresa shoot a scene, and I got to watch Jim shoot a scene. And it was unreal. And it was the first sort of like time I'd seen real actors on a real set. It was all very overwhelming, but it was insane.
Yeah, so like you were just saying, it was first time on. You'd done some short films before, right?
Yeah, a couple of shorts. Yeah.
Or more like theatre before that as well. Or
I did a bit of theatre through the acting course I was on.
Cool.
But I hadn't done any. It was in Liverpool. It was an acting course at LMA, which was a fairly new place. And it was funny because I'd done a year and a half there, and I dropped out because I was looking to sort of change direction. You get to a point where you're sort of getting sick of the auditions every like couple of months, and you just don't know. And so I was sort of ready to not throw it all away. I'd carry on auditioning, but I was like, I just need to do something. So I left there, and then a month later got the job. So it was very, it was unreal. And it was my first, and I was so lucky because it could have been so stressful, and it was a bit stressful towards the start. But when you've got a director like Lucy, who's just like the most lovely person ever, you had a whole team that's just so lovely. You very soon sort of
becomes like a family, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like I remember the first time I ever stepped onto a set. I'm looking around and there's about 30 people behind the camera. I'm like, in my head, I thought, there'll be one person for the camera, one person for sound, and a director. And that's it.
To be like a podcast, right?
Yeah, literally. And then I got there and I was like, I've got to act in front of all these people. And then I thought to myself, I was like, hang on a minute. I've done theatre for like 6 years before that.
Which is
there's way more people
scarier.
Yeah. So I was like, this is nothing in comparison to theatre. Yeah. And then when you get to know everybody, you realise that everyone's in the same boat because everyone's got the pressure. The DOP has to get the shot right. You have to, you have to do what you got to do in the scene. The director has to get what their creative idea out. The sound guy has to get the right pickup of the sound. Like there's so many factors that go into it that you realize that everybody's in the same like ballpark, and the pressure everyone feels. So as soon as you like connect and realize you're all doing this project together. And with that pressure, it sort of becomes like a team race. It's nice.
I don't remember which actor it is. Might be Tom Holland. He has a quote which is, "Pressure is a privilege." And it's similar to what George was saying the other week in terms of like, it is a privilege to be able to tell these stories, even if it's like so anxiety inducing sometimes. And then also like all those people behind the camera, they're not like analyzing your acting. They're not analyzing, that was a weird choice. I think I would have used this tactic. Or, I feel like the objective's not quite clear.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I picked up very quickly is the fact that everyone's got their own role. Everyone's got their own job. The sound guy couldn't give two shits what I'm doing. He's there to make sure everything's cool on his end. That's his job. And it all comes together in a cog. To be honest, I don't really matter. In the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't be happening if they weren't there. So it's kind of like you just do your thing. You get there, you do your thing. You know, you work with the director. So it was, the whole working as a team just completely puts you at ease. And like, as I said, like, especially with someone like Flo and Connor, who I work with, who plays Alison's brother, it was a sort of friendship vibe. We got into a group quite early on, and it was very much like we had this little group of us, and we just stick together, go out, you know, and that helps a lot. Yeah. So I feel like it was the perfect thing that could have come up, because if you get like a massive role, or even like something on a, you know, doesn't have to be a smaller show or anything, like, you know what I mean, and a smaller role or whatever, but you could have a terrible experience, and that could put you off forever if it's your first thing. So I feel very, very lucky that was the thing I started on.
Do you feel like as well, doing that, there was like a lesson you took away from it? Maybe a note the director gave you, or something where you can incorporate that into your work, which you couldn't before?
It wasn't so much like a note, but it was a point in a scene, or it was a day filming actually, or a couple of days filming, where I'd been shooting for about 2 weeks. And at this point, you know, your nerves are starting to go. You're having more fun with the work, and I had a scene with Connor, Alison's brother, and then also Sam Rubin, who plays my best friend in the show. And it's a sort of quite intense scene where I'm sort of confronting Peter, and I've never felt so free. Like, it was I had such a, like, it was an epiphany. It was literally a light bulb moment where I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is why I'm acting. And it just worked so well. You know, when everything's turning over well, and it's like, okay, scene 2, no messing about. We'll do another take, no messing about. And you're sort of in the zone. And it was like, that is what I learned to love about it. And sometimes, you know, when things you come off a job and then it's like, oh God, why am I bothering? Like, it was great while it lasted. And then you're like, oh no, I remember that was like such a turning point in why I want to do this. And it's like when actors talk about that moment where you get lost in it, and like you're in a scene, and that's why I do the acting, you know what I mean? And that is true. Like, that's a game changer. But you find things that you stick with, and then that motivates you to keep going. So it wasn't necessarily a note, but it was like a feeling and like a day of filming.
It's important to remember that. It's like gold dust. I always think it's like, often I find that it doesn't come to me that often. And then sometimes it'll just be like, I won't be expecting it. Or it'll just be, I don't even know, like moments where my brain just stops whirring. I find sometimes I'm analyzing as I'm acting, which can then take me out of it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes where it just like relaxes, you just go for it. It's like freaking amazing. It's like this release. It's so cool. Yeah. And you just come out of it. And I remember director, producer being like, how did it go? What do you think about that? And I was like, I don't know. I don't really remember it much. And it's not like I've compartmentalized and I become someone else, as in like a Christian Bale method actor. I'm just like, I know that something happened. And I remember there was a couple beats, but it was more like a feeling.
Yeah.
Something felt a little bit icky in this bit. Something felt great in this bit. And beyond that, I can't really tell you.
Yeah.
It is.
That's the best thing about it.
Yeah. It's so releasing.
If you know what you've done, then you're not really in it. I feel like sometimes I come out of a performance and I'm like, I don't know how that felt. And that's also scary because you don't know. It could be crap. It could be good. But if I come out of it being like, yeah, I nailed that. Nah, I didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that you like, you know, when you have a scene that you know you've got to do, like say we had an argument scene, right? And I was like, oh, I really want to make this sure this is perfect. And like, I've got a good feeling about this. And then you get there to set and you're sort of doing it and you're like, I've just realized I've just been thinking about how it looks the whole time I've done that. So it's like, right, snap out of that. I want to feel that losing myself. And then you can't quite get there. And then I think it's just like taking that pressure away of like, especially if it's a scene I like, I'll want to like, you know, really analyze it to the, and then you get there and you just need to like let go. So I've just said like the past about 20 times. But you know what I mean? Like you've got to sort of, you find bits. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like we did this scene and it was sort of, oh, I can see where this is going. And then all of a sudden there's something happens. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was going to happen. Yeah. And then you have it for 5 seconds and then you back into it when you're thinking about it. So I don't know, it's very on and off, but I want to be able to get to a point where I just can lose myself all the time. That would be...
That's the ambition of everybody.
Exactly.
Right? I mean,
exactly. I think it's like you can never fully get there.
Like a carrot on a stick.
It's like it's like meditation, I think, as well, where like you're practicing like being present, and then all of a sudden you go back into your brain, and then you become aware of your brain. You go, cool, I'm tuning back out, and then you come back out.
Yeah.
I think the more you practice it, because a meditation practice, acting practice, it's really important to come back into that moment. We've got time for maybe like one more question. Do you want to take it? I've got one.
I'll let you take this one.
Was there a particular highlight of filming?
Oh, like a few, but one of the
Did you say you liked the funeral?
So like a few.
Sorry.
Like a few.
I liked a few.
Like,
yeah.
That sounds kind of dark.
Actually, the funeral day was actually quite a good day. Having said that, it was actually quite a fun day. No, it was when there was a lot of people on set. Loads of sort of essays there, and we were all sort of together. Party scene was a good day, but I'd say the one that stood out, and I don't know if this is a good highlight or a bad highlight, but it was a highlight. It was the very first day, and we were filming in a sort of underground gig place. What's it? A venue.
Yeah.
And I walked down there, and it was like smoky, very low lights, music blasting. Everyone was there, producers there. I was just like, oh my goodness, it's really happening. I turned to Flo and I was like, are you feeling like overwhelmed as well? And she was like, oh, it's mad. So it was nice to see that she was sort of like, whoa, what's going on? Because I was like, I'm going to pass out. Like, it's so intense. So that was a highlight. And it was sort of like, okay, this is really happening. And then that scene was like grand and it came out really well. So that was the highlight for sure. But then obviously the one where I sort of had that one day and I sort of lost myself and it was just bliss. And then we went out after and had like Guinness. I was like,
In Ireland. Tracks.
Exactly. I was just like, I've made so many good friends. I guess you could say that's a highlight as well, making so many friends and keeping in contact with people. So a lot to take from it. Lots of good memories. Yeah.
Wow. Well, it's been incredible to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Mixtape is out now. You can check it out on BBC iPlayer. It's on Binge in Australia if you're living over there and watching overseas. Thank you for tuning in.
That'll be me.
It's like, fucking hell, mate. Fucking love it.
In my head, I was just imagining if Lucy would watch it or whatever. Or who's it, Teresa? Because she's
Teresa
Australian,
Palmer,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's just like, oh, that accent. No.
Shout out to you, Lucy. Love you.
But thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you for the next episode in a couple of weeks.